Okay. Then okay, now there will be many slides. I hope it's not an overkill, but I thought for the first class, I would like to give like more the background, connect with different teachers of different lineages that are sort of relevant to the story of this book. And so I thought this is like like an invocation also to all the masters. And of course, in our course here, the master of the masters is Longchenpa. And this is him. This is from German Cancer Wangpo's collection. And as you see, he was born 1308 and passed away 1364. So he was not that old, like 56 years old. He was, of course, a great Dzogchen master and had a very unique way of writing. And he wrote a lot, I think like altogether like 200 works. And yeah, just for the dating game, I wanted to look into other lineages, like which other masters lived at the same time, like Longchenpa. And here in the next slide, if we look into the Kachu side, we have the third Karmapa, Rangchun Dorje, 1340 to 1383. So he was actually, more a teacher to Longchenpa, and also together they were very important to enable the survival of some Nyingtic teachings. And well, this is actually wrong. I think the date, I don't know why I put that. That is actually the date of the fourth Karmapa. So please delete that, because that would be, but as you see, the fourth Karmapa was already born when Longchenpa was still alive. The third Karmapa was much earlier. It was, I think he passed away 1339 and was born in the end of the 12th century. But the picture is right. So this is the third Karmapa who was a teacher to Longchenpa. And as I said, they were team working together. That was also a nice Nyingma Kachu relationship. If we look into the Gelug side, so that was during Tsongkhapa's time, actually, 1357 to 1419. And this is also just before the first Dalai Lama. When we look into the Sakya side, then it was Rendava, Shönyu Lodrö, 1349 to 1412, who lived during Longchenpa's time. I think they never met. That was also during the time of the 12th throne holder, of the Sakya Pass. Nowadays we have Janavacha Rinpoche as the 43rd. And do we know what Dzogchen Rinpoche did during that time, Longchenpa? He was Longchenpa, right? And then when we look into the previous lives of Longchenpa, then we start with this wonderful princess, Pema Sel, who lived in the 8th century. So she was the daughter of Queen Rosa Shangchup and King Chüsung Detsen. And I guess she had some kind of allergy against the bees, or the poison of the bees. So she got a bee sting and then basically died, when she was 8. Then Go Rinpoche was there and wrote this letter, on her heart in red, actually. So please ignore the color here. Like there are like 6 syllables for each realm. Each realm is 1 syllable. And then Ri syllable is connected to the human realm. And by that, Go Rinpoche brought this princess back to life and entrusted her like the Kanto Nyingtic teachings. And then soon later, she passed away, and Yeshe Tsoke was concealing these teachings as a terma. And then a couple of centuries later, this princess was born as Pema Letrelzai. The dates are not really sure, especially the birth year, but most likely 1231, some say 1248, but until 1307. So 1307 is like exactly before Longchenpa, because Longchenpa was then the next rebirth. So he, Pema Literate, partially revealed then these contradicting teachings that Geshe Tsoka was concealing. And then in his next life, as Longchenpa, he was then completely revealing these teachings. And Longchenpa, in that life, as Longchenpa, he was born, of course, in Tibet, and he got ordained when he was 11. And he really studied with masters from all different traditions, also the Kadam tradition, Nyingma Khachu Sakya. And with 19, he went to this kshetra, Sangpo kshetra, or Sangpo Noitok. This is a Kadampa monastery and was founded in the 11th century by Ngok Lekpe Sherab. And but yeah, he didn't really like the behavior of some scholars there, so therefore he left, and from then onwards he was more like a wandering yogi, he went to the mountains and yeah, was like a backpacker, from cave to cave. And we consider him, in the Himalayan tradition, we talk about like 3 Manjushris, and we consider him to be one of them. The others are Sakapandita and Tsongkhapa. And also there's another list of 3, of 3 great scholars. And there we talk about him again, of course, Dolpopa and Bhutan Rinchen Drup, which is this one here. He will also come later. He's also important. Yeah, so, but anyway, Longchenpa was a great scholar, considered to be a Manjushri. He knew so much, but he was, as I said, only like a backpacker traveling from cave to cave. And of course, he had no dictionaries, he had no computers, he had not really texts, but he was apparently going to monasteries here and there, and then studying the texts, and then sort of memorizing them. And then when back in the cave, he was writing them down, because you will see this book that we have here is like full of so many quotes, And yeah, it is believed that thanks to his great meditation, and also he has some special Dharma protectors, that this was possible. And when we look into the main teacher of Longchenpa, this is this one, Rigtsen Kumaratsa, 1266 to 1343. Yeah, maybe just like that. I also think, I don't want to tell a whole story today about Longchenpa, but I think it's nice to, from time to time, come back to his life story. But one more thing, like many masters, he has many names, like one name is Dreame Öse, like stainless light, and one name is Samye Long Mangpa. Samye Long Mangpa basically means that he's a guy from Samye who knows many scriptures. And he got this name because of what I said earlier, that he was quoting so much, And Samye is in his name because here, this is Samye Shempo, because he stayed there a lot, This is the entrance to Longchenpa's cave here on the picture. He stayed a lot there, and practicing and composing many commentaries. And here's also another picture. This is then the reliquary stupa. And yeah, one critical remark, when you look into the quotes, they are sometimes different from how we would quote the same text nowadays. Because he was quoting from the version of that text that was existent during his time, But remember, I said there's this Bhutan, I showed you earlier a picture, one of the 3 great scholars, and Bhutan lived actually during the same time as Longchenpa. And he made the effort to systematize all the teachings that were considered to be authentic teachings of the Buddha. And Bhutan was the one who therefore created the official edition of Kanjur, what we now want to translate with 84,000, and we are doing it already. So it's like the Tibetan canon, And so in Bhutan was a great master, and so he was choosing certain translations of Indian sources to be put into the Kanjur, but he then also excluded other versions, and Longchenpa might quote the other versions. Plus, Bhutan didn't include any Nyingma Tantra. So therefore, yeah, so that was sort of a big difference. But then came this great master, the 8th Situpa, Panchen Chökyi Chungne. You can see, like many hundred years later, he then was crucial in creating like the so-called Derge edition of the Kanjur, and he was more open-minded and then included also the Nyingma Tantras into the Kanjur. So therefore, that was a long story, but the essence is, so it is sometimes, yeah, Longchenpa is quoting from different sources that nowadays we don't have, because they were never included in the official Kanjur. Okay, do you want to discuss anything about that? If yes, raise your virtual hand. Emilia.
Was there a specific reason why leaving out the Nyingma Tantras?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I was wondering that too. I will ask somebody and they'll tell you next time. I mean, it's like, in the Bhutan came sort of in the new translation period, after in the 10th, 11th century, there was the teachings were translated by a new group of translators after many of the Nyingma teachings have been destroyed by King Longdama, or destroyed / not supported, and therefore they died out. And so I guess they wanted to have it like in a very homogenic way, and therefore maybe only include the Sama and not the Nyingma Tantras. That would be my spontaneous guess, but I can check. N. And you have your hand up, but you have to unmute yourself.
My computer was frozen up. I'm sorry.
No problem.
So I had a similar question regarding that in terms of, you said it was published with the Dirge edition. And are you talking about the location in Northeast Tibet, Derg?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, I know the pronunciation Derge, but maybe that is a too German pronunciation.
I don't know the pronunciation, but I thought that's what you meant. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and that is what I think 84,000 is also using a lot.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, then to be off in a good start, let's do a prayer to Longchenpa. I will share that with you. And let's recite that maybe in English. Just like the 6 ornaments and 2 supreme ones who beautify our world, you were their equal in your mastery of compassion, learning, and realization. yet you practiced hidden in the forest in sacred solitude. Longchenpa, who perfected samsara and nirvana in the state of Dharmakaya, dreamer Ösa, stainless light, at your feet we pray. Grant your blessings so we may realize the natural state, the true nature of mind. So his texts are very much always about that, you know, realizing the natural state, the true nature of mind. And the text that we are studying is, of course, part of the Dzöden, you know, the 7 treasuries. And they're really like basically Dzogchen texts. And yeah, 2 of them, this text that we are studying, and another one, the precious treasury of wish fulfillment, they have been studied and practiced a lot, you know, in the nunneries and monasteries, but also then by the yogis. And all of the Dzöden texts, you know, Dzö means treasure and Dün just means 7, so the 7 treasuries. All of these texts are basically about Dzogchen, and that is basically about what is written in this prayer, realizing the natural state, the true nature of mind. That is really the pinnacle of all Buddhist teachings. And unfortunately, not all of the 7 treasuries are translated yet. So please also, I would like to dedicate this class, what we are doing here, so that there will be like qualified translators, you know. So I dedicate to them also that qualified translators will take up this task, you know, to translate so that we have all the 7 available.